segment, we will provide you with expert advice on how you can exercise greater responsibility for your safety, thereby reducing the risk to your person and the property, creating safer communities, and improving lawfulness in Tobago.
There is no blockage to view straight to the back of the house.
Okay, right.
Right? So the cameras, you need to see each at the end of each wall with the cameras that you're going to use. So if you use domes,
and that's these here?
These are the domes with LED lights. That LED lights are for seeing in the dark where you don't have lights in the back of your house or anything like that.
And why is that important?
Because you could see any object or anybody coming in the dark in the area that the camera is pointing.
Okay.
Right. And then you have cameras with fixed lens, which one lens, or you have camera with varifocal lens, like this one, that you could do adjustment. So you could adjust and choose which lens you want on the inside from adjusting it here.
Okay, so when I'm deciding, I decided I want cameras, right? What should lead me into selecting the type of camera that I need for my specific home?
The measurement of your house.
Okay, so tell me a little
Because
about
you
that.
have cameras that are 30 feet camera, 50 feet camera, 100 feet camera. So you must know if the length of each wall, if you have a house like a rectangle,
Right.
which have longer walls and shorter walls on each side. So you wouldn't need the same camera for the longer walls that you need for the shorter walls.
Oh, okay, okay. And a camera such as this, what kind of length you're getting from that?
Well, you might get a 30 or 50 feet length in a camera like this.
Okay, good. And this one, what you said this
That's
one?
like 150 feet, so you get a longer distance with a camera like this.
Okay, so that might work for something like a business as well?
Business and parking lots and things like that.
Okay.
Every application is different, so you need somebody to evaluate, your job
Right.
before you buy anything. Otherwise, you'll be buying stuff twice.
Okay. All right. So I have my cameras up now, and they can be either of this nature, depending on the distance, or a longer range.
Right.
You get that. And I need to ensure that it can give me good visibility in the night and in the day. So those are consideration.
Yep.
What else I need now to complete my package? Cameras, what goes with
You
that?
have a DVR. This also is an NVR, which is more used for businesses also, bigger areas.
Okay.
But for your
So
home,
for a
you
home-
mostly need a DVR, a digital video recorder.
A digital video recorder. And how does this work now? What does this do for me?
Well, you have a hard drive in there, you connect all your cameras and it records on the hard drive. Now you have a USB slot that you could record everything else on a USB drive that happens around your property and things like that.
Now I hear a lot about people thieving these things.
Yeah, well, you have
So-
to either secure them or hide them away somewhere that's not hot, or plug them to the wall. You have a lot of options.
Is there anything particular people should consider in selecting the type of DVR that they purchase?
Yeah, well, you look for warranty because everything is technology and electronic. You don't know, if you don't get warranty, then you don't know how long it will last.
Okay, what about storage capacity? Is that a factor?
Storage, yeah, well, the installer could always put in what size you want. You have 500 gigs, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, according to how long you want to keep your recording for. So if you want to keep your recording for a month, you put a bigger hard drive, or some DVR could hold 2 hard drives.
Right.
So, you keep it a longer time.
All right. And what's this piece of?
This is the PTZ controller for the PTZ. When you want to move
What's
the PTZ,
PTZ?
a pan, tilt, and zoom camera,
Okay.
right, with LEDs.
Pan, tilt, and zoom.
Yeah, so it moves any way you want it,
Ah.
around.
Right.
back and forth. A whole football field, you could zoom back and forth.
Okay. And where would be the best use to have something like that?
Well, a parking lot,
Okay.
a mall, big areas.
Okay. Okay.
With a security officer sitting down to check different doors and
monitor.
different areas. Yeah.
All right. One final quick question. In terms of cost, we're looking at an average middle income, low income household. What kind of cost to have a simple system that people should consider in terms of saving? How would you look at cost for value?
Once you buy a good system should run you somewhere between 6,000, 6,500 for a 4-channel system.
Okay.
If you need more than that, then you might need an 8-channel DVR, or well, if you have a bigger property, then you would need like 16 channels. Then your price keep going.
And when you say channels, you're talking about the number of cameras. Tell me about
the
what's
number
that channel thing?
the number of cameras, because each channel records each camera.
Okay.
So you could only put one camera to a channel. So
Right.
that's how much cameras you have. Then that's the size of DVR you need.
Okay. And what should be a minimum consideration for cameras? Four.
Yeah.
Should be a
Yeah. Once you have 4 straight walls, 4. Because most people don't really need cameras inside.
Right.
So just the outside area.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Llewellyn. It has been nice chatting with you. And
Nice
thank you for
meeting you.
sharing your professional and your expert view on this issue. And we do hope we are able to inspire our viewers into selection of this hardware so that they can be safer.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Porter, we looked at the cameras on the outside, and now I want you to tell us about the alarm systems. We learned earlier that it's important to have that as well, so that if somebody in fact breaks into your home, you can raise an alarm. Somebody can come to your aid. Where do you put those things?
Well, it's a very good question. Now, this is a DSC system, right? It's an alarm
Right.
system. I must say the alarm and the cameras go hand in hand.
Okay.
Because if the alarms fire and you get a message to your phone saying, well, okay, my front door has been violated, you could always check your camera system. So they both go hand in hand.
Back up a little bit. You used a word there that I'm not sure what you're talking about. You said if the cameras fire.
If the alarm fires.
Or if the alarm fires. What's that? What are you talking about?
Well, in the technical term, if the alarm goes off, it fires.
Okay.
So
good.
basically, so when I say the alarm fired, it means probably a door or a window has been violated.
Okay, good.
Well, so we're just going to touch very fast on this here. This is your basic keypad. What you do, what an installer do is they install this. So it look nice?
All right.
This is a motion sensor.
Okay.
Anything that, if the window breaks, it triggers it.
And this will go where?
This would go at the side of your wall at the corner here. Right at the corner.
Okay.
Right? The installer would install it here. So if someone comes through the window, it picks up the signal and it
Right.
triggers the alarm.
So you need to have a lot of that then?
No, basically this cover the room, a very large room, probably 50 square meters or so. Yeah, very large room. This would cover the room.
Okay.
Also what you would do, you will have a contact here, right? So the door opens, the contact's removed, and the alarm fires. This is your keypad that goes in the corner here. So when you come in, you would have probably 15 seconds or so to punch in your code. So when you punch in your code, you just disarm the alarm and you go about your business.
Is it important which side of your door you put it on?
No, it's not important basically. You can put it anywhere where you can reach it at least in 15 seconds or 20 seconds the most before the alarm fires. Right, so this is a DSC system. Basically, you can monitor if there's a smoke or something is on fire. You with a smoke detector, you would have it installed not close to the kitchen, because most times, I mean, like you probably would burn something and it would go up in, I don't know, I'm saying.
Maybe.
So it would fire, but so an installer basically puts it away from the kitchen, in the hall, in bedrooms, and in the storerooms.
Okay, so you're saying that can be wired into this keypad as well?
Yes, it can, ma'am.
Okay, okay, good.
Right, so this is, as I said, this is something every owner should have, and it is very important at least to have a security system installed in your house. So anybody can think about it. If it goes higher, you have the AC and the pipes will basically be blocking everything.
Oh, right.
So you need it in an angle. So sometimes there are give and take situations in these instances.
So you have to consider what you have
the obstacles around you. Some people would have a tank and stuff, so you have to come out a bit. So for this here, you have to put a dome camera. You cannot put a bullet camera. Because the bullet camera could easily be taken down. But the installer, which I must say is Porter Surveillance, installer is very, very strong, so it's solid here. It cannot be moved.
Alright, and your wiring is
in the box and also straight in the trunk, the pipe, straight up. When an installer installing a camera for you, always just go around and shake it to make sure that everything is secure firmly on the wall. Okay, so there are instances where the houses have a little gap here, as you can see.
Right.
So that means you have a dead spot here.
Yes.
So as we are currently installing here, and the client's supposed to be contacting the installer here.
Yes, so you're saying that this camera will not pick up, let's suppose I go in the corner here, it will pick up to there.
It will pick up here, but it would not pick up here.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we spoke to the client and they say they're going to install the next camera here very shortly because this would be a dead spot. Right. So more likely we have to install the next camera here. So there are buildings and houses like this. Basically you will have these instances.
So which means this is really making the point that you can't go in the store and just pick up something and buy.
Exactly. You just can't go pick up a package and buy. It's always good to contact an installer.
Right. So you have to look at the shape of your house, where the dead spots, as you say, are, and so on. Okay.
You see, these days houses are not building square.
Right.
Right. And very good example, whereas we have a tank here and the camera here. So we do need the other camera to be here to cover that spot.
To cover this.
Because perpetuity could always come right here.
Right. And you won't get any visual of that person at all because the tank is now blocking.
The tank is now blocking.
Okay, so in a case like that, what would you advise the person to do?
Well, as I advised the client before, we need to install another camera here.
That will pick up this area.
This area that is you're not seeing on the system.
Okay, okay.
But what you can do, what most clients do basically is they would put in 4 cameras and eventually add on to the system.
Right.
Because as I said, a security installation is not very, very cheap. Right. And these are very good. These are expensive cameras. It costs actually a lot to install these cameras.
Right.
You know, so eventually the client will add on, call the installer and say, well, okay, I'd like to put next camera here. But you can always start with 1, start with 2, right? Make sure that you have very good cameras. Doesn't make sense you install cameras that are not very good and then you cannot pick up the image of someone when they try to break into your premises.
Good, good.
It might cost a lot, but bear that cost and install good quality cameras.
Okay, and you're saying you should consider around your property at least 100 meters in range?
In range.
That you can get good vision for. And these cameras do that? Yeah,
these cameras good. These are they are called very focal cameras where you can zoom in manually and set it to a specific point.
Right.
Right, so if you're not seeing anything, the installer could always go and zoom in the camera and set it to a point where you are. So these are some, as they say.
And are there considerations you have to make for your getting in at your meter box or anything like that? Are there adjustments that have to be done to cater for your cameras that people should consider?
There's no, it doesn't cost much on your electricity bill. It doesn't. Basically, it's just like 12 volts per camera, so it doesn't take your bill any higher. Okay. You know, so it's something to consider. Also, if you're going to do your installation for security cameras, make sure you have internet. At least try to get a LAN wire internet. I know I have some clients are trying it, they can't. Make sure, see if you can get a internet for LAN wire so you can see your cameras on your mobile device.
Right.
Know where you can play back. Also, there's another thing I should say. Always check with your install to find out if it's mobile viewable.
Okay.
Right? A very good DVR to buy is the ones where you can play back on your phone.
Right.
It's going to cost a lot, I must say. But where you can click it, the ones just basically like you have at your premises. I saw them.
Yes.
Right, I think I did the installation.
Yes.
Right. You can play back that on your phone.
Good.
Those are some of the tips and the bits that you need to know when installing security cameras.
So you have visibility wherever you go.
Wherever you go, you can
like
play
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours. You know, 24 hours. So
good.
That's some of the basic things you need to find out from your installer before you go ahead and install it, and then you're unsatisfied with what you do.
Right. So basically, look for your blind spot. We're seeing a blind spot here.
Yeah, we're seeing here, and this
seeing a
sign
blind
is supposed
spot
to
here.
call for surveillance.
Yes, we're seeing a definite blind spot, you know.
But basically, this camera here, the width is very wide, so it's actually picking up everything here.
Everything here.
Yes.
Right.
And it's just the tank at the back there
Make
is
the
a
view.
kind of, but this works pretty okay. I've saw it. The guys did a very good job on this here. And it could do some put in another camera or so, but basically this is a very good installation, I must say.
You know, for some people, they're saying that, listen, me, Tobago ain't all that bad. You know?
They
So
think twice before they go into the premises.
When
They would think, well, look, I have to go look for DVR. They might see me or something like this. So it's a very good deterrent. Himself, it's mock ones you put up. It's not a real one. It's a very good deterrent.
Okay, so you're saying the benefits far outweigh the cost?
Yes.
In terms of providing peace and safety?
It's very, very far
for
outweigh the
family.
cost. I mean, it's very good. It saves you a lot. Having to, the police find someone, you have to go to court, all that things, you know. You have the cameras, is already a deterrent.
Okay, good.
So it's always good to choose the right equipment. More importantly, contact an installer.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Mr. Porter, for your expert advice and
Yes,
for
ma'am.
this walkthrough that we have had. And now I think, viewers, we are better prepared to go select the proper systems and ensure that they are properly installed for the safety of your families.
Tobago CSI chatted with the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Garfield Moore, who gave us the situation of burglaries and break-ins here in Tobago. He shared some of the experiences of the police service. Let's hear from him.
Our houses have become soft targets. We are not securing our property anymore. Now we will build nice houses, we build beautiful houses, but that house is not properly secured. We still have louver window, we still have windows that are not properly secured. You could just clip it open and go. The doors also, you lock on the doors. We have the deadbolt, and we also have the other bolt, the other lock that you can just take a knife and push it in and pull the tongue, and they're inside your houses. Right? People also still leave keys under the mat. Right? So we have become soft targets, and people are aware of that, and they are pouncing on people. So we need people to be mindful of those situations.
Over the years, we've had quite a lot of education in this regard, and you know, you're still seeing those patterns coming forward. What are they saying to you as the police? Is it any reasons why people not changing?
It's a culture, and it's very difficult to really change culture. Even though there might be some people who will change a bit. But generally speaking, people will, even though they change for now, once that education process does not continue, you don't try to reinforce it on a daily basis, they get back into the normal mode.
The decisions you make today influence your future. You determine where you want to be. Make the right choice. Stop. Stay calm. Start thinking. A message from the Ministry of National Security's Citizen Security Program.
I'm Samantha John.
I am Nadia Batson.
The incredible Myron B.
I'm K.I. Chucky Gordon.
Hi, my name is Sheriff.
And we are Freetown.
And I'm urging each and every citizen of our beautiful country.
It's time for us to put a stop to crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago once and for all.
In Freetown, we believe that every citizen has the right to life.
We need to be responsible, not only for ourselves, but for others as well.
I think the only way to counteract any kind of fear is to inject love.
We have the power to stand up, to unite, to stay positive, and to win back our country. Build a culture of lawfulness, peace, respect, love, harmony.
The Citizen Security Program.
Stop the violence and abuse.
Stop the violence and abuse.
Stay calm.
Stay calm. Stay calm.
Stay calm and start thinking.
Start thinking.
And start thinking.
A message from the Citizen Security Program. Stop the violence and abuse. Stay calm and start thinking.
One bite. I want to play.
Oh, you can do that, boy. Oh, you can do
that, boy.
Stop the violence and abuse. Stay calm. Start thinking. The Ministry of National Security's Citizen Security Program. Start thinking.
Okay, cool.
Later.
A message from the Ministry of National Security's Citizen Security Program.
Welcome back to Tobago CSI. We're here at the Cove Eco Industrial and Business Park at the Isaac T. McLeod building. We'll be taking a look at burglaries and break-ins and how we can better protect our homes and our families. With me is Dion Rojas of Rojas Engineering Services. He is managing director and owner of this establishment. Let's have a chat, Dion. Tell me, Dion, how long have you been in this business?
Well, metal fabrication, I grew up in it. So it's a lifelong experience where I grew up assisting my dad. And first and foremost, I'd like to mention that any values or any form of input I make here this morning is a representation of my dad as well. So you're getting Rojas Engineering Limited and Rojas Metal Fabricating ideas and ideologies with respect to burglaries and the way to protect your family. So growing up in it was very dynamic because at the end of the day, being educated at Bishop's High School, they basically pushed academics. Right. So having that skill to fall back on makes me a better rounded person. And it's something I definitely want to congratulate my bloodline for making me a better all-round person. Right.
So you are in the business of security?
Yes, I am. I am.
Say that?
Gates and burglar proof is one aspect of metal fabrication because it's a very wide field of trade, as it were. The universal set being metal. So you will have, say, the
necessary in the Tobago society. You know, we come from a background where we never used to lock our doors
right.
and our windows. When did you start seeing this transitioning or changing in our society, and why do you feel it's necessary for us to have this level of security in what you would call the capital of paradise?
I funny you should mention that with respect to when, to pinpoint when burglar proofs and gates became fashionable, because that's the line that I'm about to travel along. Take for instance in the 80s, pipe-borne water. It was good to drink pipe-borne water. It was okay, it was safe. But now in 2015, it's now taboo, where people now buy almost all their drinkable water or potable water. So the gates and the rails and the burglar proof is something that it has become commonplace. By default, you build a home and you protect it. So it's not necessary, because we like to pass the parcel trying to blame the influx of Trinidadians to Tobago. But you need to understand there are also Tobagoans in Trinidad. Yeah. So I'm not here to play that blame game.
Right.
It's just something that is now by default. You build a home and you go through the necessary protective measures to protect your home and your family. Right. And that to me should be applauded, because at the end of the day, your family comes first. Not necessarily other things, because that form of protection, that level of comfort, and that is what metal does. It gives you comfort, it gives you reassurance. You would not make a burglar gate out of plastic. Right. It is not comforting. Yeah. The metal gives that assurance. And in 2015, where we have come a long way, we are now marrying the technology with the metal. Okay. So now, in the 80s, you will have gates just being hinged, opening in or out. Now we're having motorized gates, where you have the gate with a motorized system and a remote control, where someone coming in with, say, a vehicle can now open the gate prior to actually entering the premises, making them more safe and more secure. Yeah. So we need to understand that security is a must, and it's the way forward.
Okay, so let's get to some of the details. So we've established that we need security.
Definitely.
Right, for the protection of our homes, the property that we spend a lot of money on, definitely, and for our families as well, to ensure peace of mind. So let's get specific. Let's deal with windows maybe first. Right. First up, what are the options that are available to someone? And you know, we have certain types of windows now that are
what should I say, very pretty.
Right, yeah.
You know, we buy the windows, and as opposed to long ago where you had them opening and, you know, closing like that, you now have those lift-up windows, the French style, and all kinds of styles in windows. What must someone consider if you have that type of windows in terms of ensuring that you have proper?
First thing first is functionality. You want it to be visually pleasing, but it must be functional. It's pointless having a burglar proof or a burglar bar that cannot secure your premises. A lot of people find the actual burglar proof or the idea of it very distasteful.
Right.
But I mean, in 2015, there's so many different designs out there, and people can now also be creative. You could come forward with your own personal design. You could also browse the internet and come forward with something, a picture of some sort, and we try as much as possible to arrive at that particular destination with respect to your particular design.
Okay, so we're no longer talking the block.
No, not anymore. The thing about it, once again, it depends on what the individual wants. It must match their pocket and their budget. But I always say to my customers, your budget does not necessarily represent cheap and cheerful.
Okay.
Meaning you could get something visually pleasing, simple and elegant. We represent simple and elegant.
Okay.
We're not into the set of curves and twists and turns.
Right.
We're simple and elegant. And it gives the customer a chance to enjoy value for money.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, when you present a quotation for a particular project, the person may probably like your design or like your quality of work, but it comes down to the bottom line, is it affordable?
Okay, and so you're saying in terms of design, there's greater flexibility now in terms of what you can choose.
Definitely.
And there's no standard, so it's whatever you can create.
There is a standard because at the end of the day, it's basic sort of foolproof things you look for. Someone's hand not being able to get in.
Okay.
If you're dealing with a child, the head, the average size of a baby head mustn't be able to go through. So there are size constraints with respect to your how the spacing of your bars.
Right.
Meaning how intermittent are they? But once again, someone will say to you, sometimes a customer comes forward, they say, listen, Rojas, I do not want too many bars to space them up, but what's the point? You space the bar and a man could go through.
Right.
So it's mission not accomplished.
So sizing is important.
It
you know,
is.
I just had a little chuckle to myself because I had a visual image of a puppy that I have.
Right.
Who I had some regular BRC kind of thing.
Right.
And he would constantly stick his head through the burglar proofing and get stuck there. And it was so since you mentioned, you know, sizing in terms of whether a child's head, you know, might be able to fit in there and get stuck, because all kinds of scenarios play out there. But what are the critical factors that someone must consider in selecting what type of burglar proofing that I put on my window in terms of choice of material, but also design? What are the critical things one must consider?
You just hit the nail on the head with respect to how I approach the project. Material selection is key. Tobago is a sea blast infested environment, and the average generic mild steel doesn't last. So you spend thousands of dollars on a particular metal project and you don't get value for money. Not that the fabricator has not given you his best, but the environment, the atmosphere has defeated the purpose.
Okay.
So we here at Rojas Engineering Limited, we promote the use of stainless steel and aluminium. It's more rust.
Okay. And what lifespan you get from that?
Well, that is relative. Meaning the stainless steel, you almost sort of could get a lifetime guarantee. But we in Tobago and Trinidad, by extension, we do not implement a maintenance program. We think that things should take care of themselves. It doesn't work like that. A car, a vehicle, you have to service it, you have to treat it with some level of respect.
Right.
You have to also put in the right form of fuel, and you have to employ a maintenance program to enjoy the vehicle. But we do not employ that same sort of approach to a lot of things in life.
Okay, so you're saying once I install, what kind of maintenance is required?
The stainless steel.
So I've selected stainless steel or aluminum, which you're saying are the two preferred ones.
Right.
And I've installed it, let's say now. What else do I need to do with it? Doesn't it just stay there?
No. There are abrasive pads on the market where you need to like constantly rub the material. It takes minutes. Or there are stainless steel sprays or little oils or grease-based sort of products, not wanting to give away too much information, that we use to keep the material in
Okay, but you're saying there are things out there.
Definitely.
So it's not just a one-time install and done.
No, not at all.
So you need to do that. In terms of this size, this spacing, what would you say is probably recommended? Given I've seen videos of people getting through bathroom windows, very small. What would you say?
All right, for me to give you a off the top of my head a documented size, there are sizes out there. Right. But as I said before, it's a personal take.
Okay.
Too much is better than too little. And that's the approach.
All right. Okay.
And that's the information I will divulge to the public. Too much is better than too little.
Okay, good. So you're saying take everything into consideration.
That's right.
When you're selecting. Anything else as it relates to windows and burglar proofing at windows that you're thinking people should consider?
Yeah, quite obviously. If you're burglar proofing a room, have one of the windows opening so you can have some form of access if a fire would break out. You need to have some form of evacuation plan in place. People think that only public utilized buildings that will have an evacuation plan.
Okay.
You need to have that in place.
When you say one of the windows opening, what do you mean?
Right, so you have a situation where it's accessible, where it could open out, rather, so you can get out, as opposed to having a grill just bolted onto the wall and there is no access to outside. So you're keeping people from coming in, but in the event that you need to get out,
yes,
you're in a bit of a pickle and you cannot really, it makes no sense.
Okay, so with those kind of windows now that they have, that's very popular, where you slide them up.
Right.
How will burglar proofing cater for that, apart from being fixed totally? Is it adjustable? Does it move with the window?
All right, funny you should say that, because our company, we are developing a lot of products that will employ that sort of arrangement where the actual burglar will lift up and stay in position and come back down.
Right.
You can't get into that.
I know we can't get into the detail. But people, what we want persons viewing to know is that there are options.
Definitely.
And the options must be tied around your safety.
Definitely.
And so the considerations that you're saying is that you should have at least one of your windows in your whole evacuation plan being able to open freely.
I would say per room.
Per room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you need to have a line of escape.
Right.
I mean, to be quite honest, the ideal situation is having all of them being able to open, because sometimes the one that you want to get out from or escape, that's the one that's burning, so we have a problem. Yeah. So the more the merrier.
So, okay, so
you want to be able to satisfy people not be able to get in, but you being able to get out. So you have almost total control.
Right. So what's the consideration for that? Is it usually a matter of cost that people would opt to go for one that is fixed as opposed to one that is flexible?
Yes, because the design usually have a border, and you have a border in a border with respect to the material. So there's more material being used and more fixtures and fittings. So there's a cost attached to that.
Right.
And some people don't want to explore that. They will say, well, you know what, just put it up.
Just put it up, yeah.
And it's a hazard.
Right. Okay, apart from, I know this is not in the area definitely of burglar proofing, but is there any other thing, because since you're engineering services as well, that can offer some protection to people with those sliding adjustable windows that we know it's very easy to just force and open?
Right.
Is there anything now developing that should be able to assist people with securing that
The
better?
sliding window, the burglar proof will satisfy the sliding window, because remember, it comes off the wall. It is on the wall. So you even though you could sleep with your window open, the person can't get in.
Right.
Because it's there. Yeah. It's keeping the perpetrator from getting in. Okay. But you also want to be able to come out if need be.
All right. So let's go to the doors.
Right.
Now. Tell me about doors. What do we need to consider? What's there? What are the options that are available to people?
Once again, and me and my dad had a very in-depth conversation last afternoon concerning locks, the quality of locks. And I don't want to scare the average person in the street or the public. You can violate the lock. You can get in.
Right.
Because in my view, the locks are inferior.
And that's the standard locks that we have available
No,
now.
you see, we have moved from, once again, from functionality to something being visually pleasing. We had the tower bolt application where you will send this tower down and it will lock on, and then you have a lock.
Right.
Now we have the lock box with the lock that will turn.
Yes.
Those locks, in my opinion, are not safe.
I agree with you totally.
Right.
You know, I picked a lock yesterday.
There you go.
Easily, and I didn't know it was so easy. You know, my kids locked the bathroom door.
Right.
And I couldn't get it open. And I decided, let me try, because I've seen people go and they push knives and things there and they try to open it. And I said, okay, well, let me try and see if I can open it.
That's right.
And I did in less than 5 minutes.
There you go. So now you spend $1,000 on your project and it's not functioning.
Right.
What's the point?
Okay. So what options are available to people?
I am a fan of digital locks.
Digital.
And there's a reason for that. It can be reprogrammed. I can change the code every week. It's just flexible.
But dear, we have a lot of senior citizens who are not coping with this digital age. How do we get them? Is there something in there? You know, they are accustomed with their, you know, and their bunch of keys and their... How do we get them to transition? Have you considered any transitional thing to get to the level of
I mean, keep the numbers simple. A senior citizen will remember the date of birth or any part of it.
Okay.
But because remember, at the end of the day, a senior citizen will now have to reach into their pocket, get their keys, open a door. If someone is there waiting with evil intentions, it's too much time.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Right.
So this is just my personal take on it.
Yeah. That's what we're looking at today. So you're looking at not only the aspect of the security that the lock itself provides, but also the time delay in terms of opening and getting access to your property.
Because I mean, this is 2015. There are loads of different form of locking mechanisms on the market. You can make it pick. You spoil for choices.
Okay, and those things are available locally?
Well, the advantage of the internet, well, the internet is there. And the thing about it is, the more you use stuff, the more the hardware will supply.
Okay.
Because, all right, as I said, back in the 80s, there was no lockbox.
Right.
You weren't using that, but we have evolved. So every hardware you go to, you could pick up a lockbox. As I say, I'm not a fan of it.
Right.
But right about now, that's a fashionable thing.
Right.
Everyone seems to like it. And another thing with the locks that we use, we are using indoor locks outdoor.
Right. Okay.
That is not good. It cannot take the bombardment of the atmosphere, the elements.
Right.
So you may have your lock functioning probably for a month or two, and it starts to malfunction because quite obviously we live in a harsh environment.
Right. Okay.
So that's another thing. Probably the suppliers need to take into consideration that you need to have different classifications of locks.
So when going to shop, viewers must ask and define where the door is located, whether it's an indoor, whether it's for outdoor purposes, in terms of selection.
Well, that's a good starting point, but you could ask, but if it's not available, what do you do?
Tell me.
What do you
do?
Because all right, I'm not trying to campaign only for stainless steel, but a stainless steel lock would be more applicable outdoors.
Right.
It doesn't rust.
Okay.
But then again, there's also the concern of cost.
Right.
Are you willing to put your hand in your pocket and pay for a stainless steel lock as opposed to the normal, cheap and cheerful lock?
Well, I would like to say you're paying for safety and not paying for a lock.
But I agree.
Yeah, but there's also the consideration when you look at doors, whether you put the burglar proofing on the inside of the door or you put it on the outside of the door. What should be considered in making that decision?
Well, it depends on personal choice. I would say inside. And if I can remember clearly, my dad would say inside as well.
Okay.
But it depends on the classification or style of the burglar proof, because there's the Spanish burglar proof that needs to be mounted on the outside because of the sheer nature of it, the bulky nature of it.
Right.
It's mounted on the outside.
Okay.
But look at this. Back in the 80s, you would literally cement the burglar proof into the wall as opposed to now you use anchor bolts.
Right.
And personally, I think putting it into the wall via cement is a lot. It's safer.
Okay.
As opposed to the bolts.
Okay. Yeah,
because exactly so. And the thing about it, we have the hollow clay blocks as well that pose a problem while assembling or mounting things on the wall because the anchor bolts doesn't always perform the way they should. So there's a lot of compromise that probably the customer is not even aware of.
Right.
So you think you're safe, but you're not.
So are you saying, therefore, I'm wondering if even during the construction stages of my home, I need to begin to look at that security in terms of my choice of material that I'm putting there and how the builders are putting it down?
Definitely.
Okay, and that's interesting because I think a lot of people think about it after. You know, I build my house and everything is finished now. Okay, let me look at burglar proofing.
Yeah, so a certain level of being proactive needs to be employed with respect to designing your home and taking into consideration the implementation or the installation of a security system, meaning metalworks.
Okay, all right, so we looked at the doors, the windows, in terms of what are the things we should consider. We looked at the choice of material that we use. What about installation that may be significant? What are the things people should consider in terms of how you install your burglar proofing?
Off the top of my head, the first thing, sometimes you go and you see fabricators install some burglar proof for the outside using anchor bolts.
Right.
And I have tightened up the anchor bolts and left them there. You can go and take them off.
Right.
You need to weld that on there.
Okay.
So it can't come off, or it shouldn't be able to come off very easily. Yeah. And I've been all over Tobago and I've seen so many guys making that sort of a schoolboy error. You need to secure it on the outside if you're going to put it on the outside. But if it's on the inside, it can be left as is, because if someone can screw the burglar proof in from the inside, you're inside already.
You're inside already, yeah.
I'm in your home. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. So when you put it on the outside, make sure and anchor it properly, and weld the head of the bolt.
Okay.
Don't leave it just there.
Right. So I'm a criminal.
Right.
I'm coming home by you, stake out your house. I see I have your burglar proofing on the outside. I see that you have aluminum, you know. I go, I plan, because I'm watching you for a couple of weeks now, you know. I plan and I walk with my equipment and that kind of thing. What deters me? What deters me? The difficulty. And I like the fact that you actually mentioned that. Yeah. A burglar proof is not foolproof. Right. It doesn't protect you 100%. Okay. All it is a slowing down mechanism where someone has to make an additional effort, and they probably don't want to put in that effort. Or two, the noise level that you have to create to get into someone's premises will be too alarming. So you're turned off. Right.
And you go for something that's easier.
Okay.
That's the purpose of the burglar proof and the burglar bars and the gates, just to keep them off for a bit. Because regardless, let me tell you something, if someone wants to come in, they're coming in.
Yeah.
You cannot stop that.
Okay.
And known guys who come to your roof.
Yeah. Right.
So what are you going to do? Burglar proof the ceiling?
You can't do all that.
Like
but I know earlier on we said that given our weather conditions, aluminum or steel might have been the preferred. Now, when you consider now deterrence, in terms of what then would be a preferred material that may be harder to cut.
Stainless steel. You're going to have a very tough time. You're going to get a very rude awakening and a very laborious lesson.
Right.
You cannot cut through that very easily.
Okay.
The average hacksaw blade, the average cutting disc, no. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
So I have to get some real high-powered tools to cut that.
You have to be well organized.
Okay, and we're assuming that the people not so well organized.
Yeah, well organized.
Okay.
But funny, you mentioned equipment earlier on in one of your statements. I find it very alarming that someone could go to a hardware and buy a bolt cutter, buy an angle grinder, and no one asks any questions.
Right.
Because these are tools that you can use to break into someone's home.
Yes.
And I bet you all of these guys are armed with such equipment.
Yeah.
So no one is really checking up.
Right. So you're saying that should send up some red flags.
Yes, because in speaking to my dad once again, I think in the 80s, a bolt cutter, there was some form of registering of that particular tool. You couldn't just have, you couldn't just acquire one.
Right.
I don't think so, without a substantial reason.
Okay.
Because these are things that you can come in or use as tools of you know.
And it is a charge to be caught with tools of it. But it's interesting that you raised the point that at the time of purchase, whether it is raising any red flags, as you know, questions should be asked regarding that. And we'll have to follow that
definitely
up
so. And that is something I really want the public or the people in control to take into consideration. It's not a matter of having too much control on someone's purchase, but remember, these tools can be used for sinister reasons.
Yeah, okay. Now, another angle I want to take, you know, burglar proofing, it's installed, and I've seen situations where people have a whole bunch of locks on their burglar proofing. And so you have a whole bunch of keys. And you know, the question always comes to mind, if something happened, how do you find the key to put it in? Some people have gone to the extent where they hang a key close to the window itself so that they can easily find it in the event of an emergency and I want to open to get out. What do you recommend in this regard?
That is a difficult question. I have to choose my words very wisely.
Yes. All right.
You can color code your stuff.
Okay.
So you know this window is yellow or this window is green. Right. So you have I would not advise having your key close to the window because there are common places that you will find a key on a ledge of some sort. So putting it there and having a burglar proof there is So you can color code your stuff.
Okay.
And off the top of my head, probably that's the simplest way to deal with it. Taking into consideration, as you mentioned before, someone of age.
Yes.
So unless they're colorblind.
Right.
Have it blue, so you know immediately when you flick through blue belongs to this particular block.
Okay. But is there are there now other kinds of locking mechanism that gets us away from putting the padlock on the lock, especially for those movable ones where you're not fastening it to the wall? Because I think that's why some people may go with the option of having the burglar proof just fastened. So I eliminate keys. I don't have to open nothing. The burglar proof is just there forever.
Right.
You know, are there now, with advancing technology, are there now other options that people can consider?
If you even do a search on the internet and you just general search of locks, as I said before, the menus are as far and as wide. And different locks that you could employ for a burglar proof. Some locks, depending on your skill level, some guys may not be able to install them or to mount them.
Okay.
And this gives me a chance to flag up my company. We can mount almost any lock.
Okay. All right.
We have that capability.
So the skill is resident in Tobago.
That's right, and it's here to stay.
Okay, excellent. That's comforting. On another level, I want to open up a little discussion because we have found too in going around to homes and so on that, you know, in Tobago we have a lot of pretty homes.
Right.
And people tend to make the choice of aesthetically pleasing look, and sometimes burglar proofing does not fall into that realm based on our limited exposure. What advice would you say to people in terms of that consideration?
Most times, respected to the design or the choice of design or the conversation had along that line is usually the female counterpart of the home, because she's concerned about this thing looking like a burglar bar, like a jail.
Yeah.
Right, so it's all about winning over the person who's making the choice that it can be visually pleasing. It could match, it could have the shape or the lines of a curtain. Whatever you want, you can get. There are books, magazines, there's the internet. If you can't find something that panders to your taste, then something is wrong.
Right, okay.
So the flexibility is there. It's no longer the traditional just lines and a box. No, not at all. But if you want that, you can get that. Ill-advised, but you can get that.
Okay, well, good. Well, I think we've certainly explored. I think we've covered quite a lot of material. Is there anything finally you would want to say to people with regard to protecting their homes and the choice of burglar proofing?
Remain relevant. And the thing about it is, remember, these guys are doing their homework. So the thing about it is you need to also upgrade every now and again. Because, as I say, back in the 80s, we were implementing certain approaches towards making your house safe or your home safe, especially with respect to locks.
Yeah.
So you need to keep relevant and do things differently.
Okay.
Don't develop that sort of a pattern where a would-be thief can catch you in your routine.
Right.
As it is.
Okay, mix it up a little bit.
That's right.
All right, good. Well,
All
thank
right.
you very much,
No problem.
Stian.
Take care.
It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and this has been Tobago CSI.